Welcome back to the Fierce Fish First Tech Challenge CAD modeling tutorial series. Our goal in this series is to provide guidance in using Autodesk Inventor for First Tech Challenge. And in today's video, we are going to be going over the basics of an assembly. So let's dive right into this. We're just going to go here on this new tab and click on the basic assembly. This will make our measurement units by default in inches. So now we are inside of the assembly here. And we are going to just start out by basically placing a part. So the way I'm going to do that is we go into the top left here, we see place. We're going to want to click on that. And then let's do the 3-hole U channel. So right now it looks kind of zoomed in, as you can tell. And that's just right when you start an assembly, it's going to do that. To place this part in the assembly here, I'm just going to click once. If I want to place it multiple times, I'll click again. And then to get rid of, or to stop placing, you right click and press this OK at the right here. So now as you can see, I've got 2 U channels here. And now they're also on the side panel over here with their individual part entities. We'll learn about each of the individual part entities at a later video. And we also have a little bit more on this side panel. So let's talk about this side panel for a second. We have the assembly view and the modeling view. Right now they're exactly the same because we don't have any constraints. We're going to talk about constraints next video. That'll be under the relationships folder here. So right now it just looks like this basically. Now let's go back in here and say I wanted to move around in here. We have this view cube in this top right corner of this window. And I can just click and drag it around to move around and view my assembly. We can also just click at certain spots on the view cube and these arrows to go to different views if we so desired. And then your home view, you just press the home button and now you're back. So the next thing now, these parts are kind of floating around here. They're not like set. And you're going to want to set, or we call it in Autodesk Inventor, grounding your main part. So let's say I want to build my entire robot off of this U channel here. I have to ground it here. So I'm going to right click, and then we see in the window here, grounded. We're going to click grounded, and now we cannot move it. And you'll also see on the panel over here, there's a little thumbtack on top of this part here to let us know that it is grounded. This one can still move, but this one cannot move. Alright, so that's basically that part of it. Let's play with this part here. We can free move and free rotate it. Free move is nothing special. We can't free move a grounded part. And free move is really nothing special because if it's not grounded, you can just do it anyways. Free rotate, I'm going to want to click on the part and I'll rotate it around however I want. That's not necessarily the most effective way to get the exact angle of the part you want. Constraints can fix that, but there's another way we can do it, and that's right when we place the part. So let's place this 1-hole U channel. Let's say I don't want it in this orientation. Let's say I want it so the flat angle is up, so it kind of forms like an N, like the letter N, and like this weird texting. So I can rotate it, and you'll see we have the axis here. We have the y-axis, x-axis, z-axis. So I'm going to want to rotate this part along the x-axis because we want this. Wish I could show you. We want we want like this face here to be pointing upward. So let's come over here now. We're going to right click and you'll see rotate. You got these 3 options for rotating. We can rotate X 90 degrees. Now this face is at the bottom, so I'm going to want to rotate 90 degrees 2 more times. And I can click, press OK, and now this part is facing upward. And you'll see our panel here is continuing to grow. If I just click on one, it'll highlight it for us. We can still get the same options as if we were doing the actual part itself. This view panel, once you get a lot more parts, will make it easier to keep track of everything. So now let's say something's kind of in the way for, like say we're assembling a gearbox and you already have the outer box assembled, but you got to get everything inside of the box still. So what we can do is turn off the visibility of some parts that we want. Like let's say we don't want to see this part that we just placed anymore. We can right click on it, and then you'll see up here visibility is checked. We can do that, and now it is invisible. And on the panel here, the box turns gray. And then since we can't see it anymore, to undo the visibility, we can either just press the undo button up here, or since that's not plausible if we've been making a lot of changes, we can come over here, right click, and go visibility. Where's visibility? Right here. And click it again, and now it is visible. Alright, so that is pretty much all of that. Let's look at a couple more things now. We have this bill of materials. If I click on it, it sometimes takes a while to load. But we can see all of the parts that we've used. We see we've used 2 3-hole U channels and 2 1-hole U channel. This can be very important if you're like creating a build guide, or you just want to show how organized you are, whatever, get the price of stuff, or get the price of all your parts and things like that. All of that can be very helpful in here. There's also up here a parameters tab. Right now there are going to be no parameters here because we don't have any constraints. We'll look at the parameters tab in the next video as well. Now, there's also shrink wrap. I personally do not use shrink wrap, but you may find it useful. So you can click on it here, and it's going to tell you the assembly must be saved. So let's go up here and save the assembly. I'm just going to save it there as assembly 1. Now let's shrink wrap the assembly. Then we press yes here, and then we can do all the defaults here. But the point here is what this does is make this one entity inside of a part file, an IPT file. So you see this kind of changes. This is different because we are now in the shrink wrap assembly. All of this is different. The assembly tab up here is gone. So all of this is now one thing. You cannot move them whatsoever. They are in their set position. Now let's undo that. So now we're back in here and we can move these freely again. We'll talk about create once we get into IPT files as well. But there's one more thing I want to show you, and this is physical. You can get the physical, I want to call them constraints. You can get the physical data for your robot or parts, assembly, whatever, just by going to iProperties. So the way we do that is we go File and iProperties. Now we go over to this physical tab, and we're going to want to click Update. Now you'll see the mass in pounds mass. We got the area and we got the volume, inches squared, inches cubed. We got all this X, Y, and Z stuff. We have all kinds of things, and center of gravity. You may want to know a few of these things. So right now, this is not necessarily correct, because if we look at the material of our parts, it is just set as generic, because goBILDA's parts, the way they send them out is just like, it's not like the actual material of the part, it's just say the part shape and stuff. So you're going to want to change the material, and if you want for your iProperties to get the physical, and then you'll just press update again, and then you'll get all of this stuff in here. So I think we've covered everything that I would like to, let's see. Oh, I want to do inspect. If we want to measure a distance, say we've CAD modeled something before we built something, and I want to measure the distance from here to here, I can do that. So I just press this line, and you'll see it'll give me the total distance here in inches, since we have it set to inches. And then we can do that, and we see it's 6.191 inches away from each other. Now this situation I have set up really isn't practical because these aren't bolted to anything whatsoever, but I'm sure you get the idea here. Now let's say I want to go to millimeters, because goBILDA that we're using here is a metric build system, and we're using everything in millimeters after we've already started our assembly in inches. Well, I can do that. I just have to go to Manage, it's Tools. I'm going to go to Tools and Document Settings. I go up here, Units, and then we change it to millimeter. We press Apply and Close. So now, if I measure the distance from here to there, it'll be in millimeters. So that is basically, or that is the basics of an assembly that we're going to need to know for First Tech Challenge. So I think that's going to be it for this video. We learned some very basic assembly components that are essential for building your robot in an assembly. From all of us here at Fierce Fish, we hope you have a great day.